Welcome back to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle. And our first guest today is George Tintillis, somatic psychotherapist, and he's talking about releasing anxiety today. So welcome, George, and releasing. How do we release anxiety?
So today we're going to talk about anxiety, a big one for a lot of people. Last time we talked about trauma, and today I want to break up trauma in a bit more specific, more detail. We've got, with trauma, you've got two ends of the scale. You've got the hyperarousal, which is anxiety, and then you've got hypoarousal, to use a technical term, which is depression. We're going to talk about that next time. But today it's that hyperarousal, that fear, that anxiety, and at extremes when you're panicking and hysterical and freaking out of your body. Or when you get a phobia, that something triggers you and you're just scared. Public speaking is a big one. Very common for people to be terrified of public speaking. Had that myself, and healed it years ago. Otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here looking at a camera. But anxiety is a big one, and really what you want to be able to do is feel safe. Feel safe and feel in your body, and then get to the point where once you're in your body, to let that anxiety release. Because obviously there's something there in the past, some event, something happened in the past that triggered you, you blocked it off, you got on with your life, and it just stayed there. And then something happens in your life which triggers it, like public speaking, which is so big for a lot of people. If you have to all of a sudden talk in front of people, people freeze. Or when you get a phobia, if people go up heights or get on planes, or it can be anything. Something that triggers this anxiety. It could be a particular way your boss speaks to you, triggers you. And you're walking around with this anxiety and fear. And it's just one little part of your body, somewhere in your brain. There's some event in the past that basically you got scared. Like I mentioned with trauma, you thought, I've lost control here, I could get hurt, I could get injured, I could die here. And so it sets in. So how do you deal with that? Well, anxiety, the way it looks in the body is, it's high-pitched, and I'm scared. You're leaving your body. So the number one thing you want to do is feel safe. And to feel safe, you've got to come back into your body and center yourself. So you want to breathe, again, back to that mindfulness, back to that body-based mindfulness, closing your eyes, that meditation style, where you close your eyes, come back down, and you want to feel your belly breathing. Not the chest breathing, which is what anxiety normally does, and your heart's racing. You want that belly breathing, because we lose our belly, we lose our legs. So you want to crunch your toes, feel your toes, press your feet into the ground, ground yourself, and breathe into your belly and start to feel yourself in your belly, not up here, high pitch, where you're ready to just leave your body and be above it because that anxiety is taking over. And to feel safe. So you want to feel your body again, like I mentioned with trauma, and calm down. You want to calm down and really, so your voice can then drop. And then once you access it, then the trauma response happens. Once you're back down in your belly, then you're going to get the little twitches and little shakes, and you want to let them happen. Let them happen, and then your body will just diffuse, discharge the flight response. Next week we'll talk about the fight response, which is depression, causes depression. So this time it's that fight response, which is why also interval training is good, exercise is good, going for a run if you get anxious is very good. Work it off, and because your body just wants to run, flee from this event that whatever it was triggered you, and you may not even remember the event. Most of the time you don't, because it's subconscious. And again, most of them go back to childhood. Something happened, present moment triggered it. Work it out. So just run on the spot, or if you've got a stationary bike, or dancing it off helps. Highly recommend everyone dances at least once a week. Very important, and I'll recommend other things for depression next week, but this time it's movement to get the flight out of your body, and very important, very important.
That's huge for us, isn't it? Movement and breathing. That comes up in exercise, or sort of a lot of sports. They tell you to do that with the movement, to take the breaths, that rhythmic breathing.
Yes, yeah. Oh, it's crucial to life. I mean, there's a certain way of breathing deeply where you're coming fully into your body, because you want oxygen to go through your whole nervous system, and in your anxiety it leaves your legs. You're shallow breathing, and you're basically cutting off circulation. And then if you start to worry as well, if you're in your head, that just doubles it. So you've got to clear out the worry by meditating, coming down into your belly, even running on the spot, go for a walk, and look at objects as well. That's a good one also, is to look around the room to get present in the moment, because you'll be going off this part of your body that has the anxiety will be going off thinking the worst thing is going to happen. Go for a walk and notice objects and even name them to get you present just in this moment, to get out of that future worry of what might happen and any memory of that trauma that occurred back that caused the original trauma, which actually isn't an issue now because you're a full adult. And again, like I said before, mostly happens in childhood. But that little part of you that's blocked off is terrified, could be panicking. So you want to feel your body, go for a walk, even go for a run for 10, 20 seconds, just work it off. It discharges the flight response, and then you can relax, put a blanket around you. If you have a bath, take a bath is really powerful because you've got water all over your body. Most people don't have baths these days, but you can do shower therapy. Stay under the shower a long time, very powerful, because you're getting the touch you need and you're getting present in the moment to let that part of you that's terrified to realise it's actually safe. There's actually not an issue here. What you're about to do, whatever's triggered you, isn't that bad, and you just want to calm down. And again, not have to take a pill to do it naturally, and that's the best way. That's the best way. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
And for more information on George and releasing anxiety, then please go to our website healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. Welcome back, and now we have Dr. Zara Celik, our integrative health and wellbeing expert, and she's back with us to talk about hormonal health. So Dr. Zara, why is hormonal health important?
Look, hormonal health is very important because the whole communication in our body happens via our hormones. But today I'd like to focus and talk about female hormones, the whole estrogen and the whole progesterone and testosterone, and why is it important that we must make sure that they are actually balanced and they are in check. And today I'd like to really focus on that very much. I find in my clinical practice, women are not connected with their body and what their body is telling them. And they're not aware of what is happening around their cycle every month. I always tell my clients, us women, we go through 4 seasons in a month. And I normally use a lot of metaphors to explain our body to my clients. Because at every different season, we have different changes occurring in our body. And us women are not aware of it, and I will love people to really connect with the body to understand what it is it's telling us through the symptoms that we may be experiencing. Remember, I've discovered and talked about how symptoms are feedback from our physiology to let us know what is not right in the body. So if a female is experiencing bloating or heavy bleeding or clots, retaining fluid and feeling puffy and can't fit into her clothes, then I want her to really pay attention to see that her physiology is giving feedback to let her know something is not functioning quite right in the body. So rather than masking the symptoms and taking either a pill or ignoring it completely, I will invite and encourage people to question and find the root cause of their symptoms, because as I said, always I say this right in our interviews, symptoms are feedback from your physiology to let you know something is not functioning quite right. So I find when those symptoms are going on, and it could also be relating to people feeling that foggy brain, that could be another symptom, indicating that hormones need some care and love. Foggy brain, feeling sluggish, irritable, snappy, that's a big one. I find females, particularly around ovulation to before their period, they do get snappy, they do get irritable, they cry for no reason. And normally they will be okay, but just that time they can really snap and it is not them. It doesn't match their personality. So when that happens, I encourage, if anyone's watching or knows someone maybe experiencing those symptoms that I've just mentioned, to really go in and connect with the body and fix it from the source, from the root cause. Because if we don't and we try to mask it, then it's not going to resolve the issue. So for that reason, I encourage women to connect with the body and understand the body and serve and correct what is not right, because we don't want to be having those symptoms and going through that every month and shifting and going through that seasons every month. And then, of course, going into menopause or perimenopause, there will be more challenges along the way. The other thing I would like our viewers to know, period pain is a big one, right? Many women think it is normal. In fact, it is not normal at all. There may be little signs that our cycles are coming when we're actually connected with the body, we know. But most of the time people think, and women that I've actually certainly worked with, it is normal. They think pain is a normal experience. It is not. So if it is painful, if you're missing a day out of your work or your schooling, I look after a lot of young girls, they vomit when they get their period and they think it is normal and they always had it. So they always think that's how periods are, but they are not. So the other thing will be, of course, pay attention to what foods you're eating. And in my clinical practice, I take my patients through a stool test, a saliva test, a urine test to really pinpoint and see the levels of hormones. So in my clinical practice, I encourage my patients to pay attention to the physical body. I get them to pay attention to what they're eating, especially between ovulation until their period, because they may also contribute to symptoms being elevated. That way they get to know their body and they connect with the body. I personally, if I'm working with someone one-to-one, I will do a stool test. I may do a saliva test. I may do a urine test, just to see how estrogen's behaving and their levels are, and then we can correct it from the root cause.
Great. So that's amazing. What would be your absolute top piece of advice then for our viewers before we go to break?
So I would like our viewers to know that if you are experiencing any symptoms related to your female hormones, whether it is the irritability, whether it is the snap, you're crying for no reason, or feeling depressed, or having period pains and cramps and discomfort, or clots, heavy bleeding, please do not ignore them. So connecting with your body and doing what it's telling you to do is where you begin. And also be gentle and kind that you are going through 4 seasons in a month, and you do a journal and take yourself through what you're going through every month, and to get to know your body better, so you are looking and taking care of it as well.
Well, thank you, Dr. Zara.
My pleasure.
And for more information on Dr. Zara Celik and hormonal health, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now we'll go to break, and after break we'll be back with more amazing guests. Welcome back, and now we have Pauline Rooney back with us, our Yoga for Wellbeing instructor and author, and today she's talking about sleep deprivation. So Pauline, welcome back.
Thanks, Linda.
And how does sleep deprivation affect our well-being?
Linda, it's absolutely amazing. It's huge. And I don't think people understand it as what it is. Sometimes we toss and turn and we say, oh, we've had a bad night's sleep, didn't get a good sleep, etc., all those types of things, but not realising the effect that it actually does have on us. And I'm sure many of us, your viewers, have woken up in the morning and felt as though you haven't even had a night's sleep. And that can affect our work, so we're not switched on, so to speak. It can affect the thought process, it can affect our moods, it can affect our eating, because sometimes if we haven't had that good night's sleep, we feel a little grumpy, so we go to the comfort foods, and that does not help. We're better off to take charge of the night's sleep. And there's such things as, when we get into bed, saying to ourselves, I'm going to sleep comfortably all night, and program the mind to know that it is sleep time, instead of going to bed and saying, oh, I never sleep, I bet I don't sleep tonight. you're programming the thought process not to sleep. So when you hop into bed, there's a couple of things that I like to do. I like to pop my hands on my chest and just give a couple of thank yous for what I've done through the day. That's a really nice end of day. It can be anything you like. And if you do wake up in the night, don't lie there and arguing with yourself. Do something to really make you feel comfortable and want to go back to sleep. So you might do 7 rounds of beautiful breathing, and you really focus on the breath, nothing else. Focus on the breath. If you wanted to, you could visualize a lovely blue color coming in and out of your nostrils. I always say you could just lie there and play. It's better than having an argument. And so you focus on your breathing. You might want to do a couple of little gentle exercises in the yoga. That's okay too. Lift your arm, raise your leg, bend your knees, those types of things. But breathing, turn your pillow over so you've got that lovely cool underneath you again. There's just so many ways in order to get your mind back on track that it is time to sleep. The other thing is the moon can have an effect, Linda, and sometimes the moon will wake us, right? And therefore, if it is a full moon, we can take the time to go, isn't this a magic time? And really embrace that in preference of, oh, the moon's full and I can't go to sleep. So stop the blame and take charge. And the breath, the posture, the pillow turning, all those types of things are massive. It really is a large problem. And the other thing, Linda, I'm not sure how many people are aware of the children that are not sleeping. And there's so much pressure on our children today. They've got to perform at school, they've got to be good at sport, just the pressures. And it's a really big problem. So instead of putting the children to bed and saying, you better sleep tonight, or please sleep tonight, it's you have a lovely, comfy, snuggly sleep. And sometimes you can say to them, lay there and feel really uncomfortable. You know, if you don't like sleeping on your back, lie on your back until you had enough. And then you curl over to your comfy side and it's, so lovely. You want to go to sleep and you do go to sleep. So it's taking the action of feeling fabulous about going to sleep. And it does help. It changes our moods. As I started with, the sleep deprivation can make us grumpy, not think. It's interesting that research shows that sleep deprivation and driving is almost as bad as drink driving. You're totally impaired driving under the influence of sleep deprivation. And there's an incredible amount of research onto that. In fact, some of the cars of today, Linda, a bit spooky, but you'll be driving along and they'll say, you've been driving X number of hours, it's time to pull over and rest, or your eyes are tired. It's amazing technology, and that's a great help. But we need to take the charge. We need to get into that bed with the love of the sleep, love of being asleep and staying asleep and breathing. And as I say, embracing it if you wake up. And think about, I can do a couple of yoga postures. I can do my beautiful breathing instead of going, I can't sleep, and going with the fight. I call it a fight, an argument with one's own self, whatever. But get into the habit of saying to yourself, tonight is my gorgeous night's sleep. I have X number of hours. The other thing is, don't go to bed when you're really tired. That's a big mistake. We tend to wait till we're very tired. You then are almost hitting the overtired. So you can get into bed and I'm wide awake. It's because you're overtired. So many of us, because of our work time, we eat too late. We just have a little snack with the cuppa at 9, 10 o'clock. No, we should have our intake well before then. Because the system is digesting, of course, and as it's digesting, we're saying, excuse me, I want to sleep. It's got a job to do too. It's better to do it while you're awake and sitting up instead of doing it when you're resting. You know, it's time to rejuvenate.
As really the top thing for today, out of all those amazing tips that you've just given, what would you say to our viewers?
I think some yoga posture is always very good because it just slows you down, takes out the stress of the day. And Linda, that can be as simple as doing a little turn in your chair, right? Just as simple as that. And you go both ways. You might want to do some work on the floor, yoga postures on the floor. That's okay. It doesn't matter. It's to separate day preparation for sleep. And if we can do that, we do sleep a lot better. Really, we do. So a little yoga, a little meditation, a little breathing, and most important, don't argue with yourself should you wake up. Just embrace it, love it, and go back to sleep.
Great. Well, that's a wonderful way to end our program. Thank you, Pauline. So for more information on Pauline Rooney and sleep deprivation, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now we'll finish the show and see you next week.